Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about chaos as we get into the Long War and the Great Game. Basically, what is the overall goal of each Chaos God for the world and for the Immaterium? If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and if you have any suggestions, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the overall goal of each Chaos God. The Long War is a term used mostly by Chaos Space Marines to refer to their fight to overthrow the false Emperor and seize control of the Imperium of Man, not only for themselves, but for the gods of Chaos. Deep in their corrupted souls, they intend to achieve the final victory that was denied to the War Master Horus over 10,000 standard years ago. Chaos Space Marines know that the events of the Horus Heresy are nothing more than myth and legends to the people of the Imperium, but many of the Chaos Space Marines who dwell within the Eye of Terror, where the flow of time moves far slower, the terrible passions of that era are still very much alive. Even the loyalist Space Marines of the Imperium are no exception to this knowledge, and there are those that are seduced by the reality of the Long War. Scarred beyond redemption by the terror of a constant war, they devolve into bitter, selfless champions of the Chaos Gods. They have become mockeries of their former glory, the ultimate foils to the Adeptus Astartes, who they once called brothers. For 10 millennia, the Long War has raged unseen and unheard by the vast majority of the Imperium's people. The scale of their slaughter and conquest is a well-guarded secret by the Inquisition. Less awareness of the heretic's existence tempts others to the service of chaos. Fought on countless battlefields where loyalists and rebels wage war for the future of humanity. Across hundreds of worlds, the banners of traitors are held high, and the galaxy burns in their wake. A single cry of defiance echoes across the Imperium: death to the false Emperor. And this deep hatred, found at the core of each Chaos Space Marine, is augmented by the Chaos God's unending struggle for dominance within the realm of chaos and the ultimate control of real space. Each god fights not only with the forces of good, but also with each other. This never-ending conflict, fought by their servants, feeds into each Chaos God's unique desires. None of the gods of chaos benefit as much from the continued conflict generated by the Long War as Khorne does. Many of his champions were forged in the flames of battle of the Horus Heresy, and while some have been elevated to the rank of Demon Prince, and others have fallen in battle, many of those champions live and fight to this day. They remember with furious anger the great betrayal of the Corpse God and his followers. This anger still smolders in their heart, ready at any time to fully reignite and burst through the plates of their chaos-corrupted power armor, consuming their one-time brothers in flames of undying hatred. These are veterans of hundreds, even thousands of campaigns. Their bases on demon worlds deep within the warp storm exist outside of normal strictures of space-time. The disparity between what might be thought of as real-time and subjective time as they experience it within the Immaterium allows them to wage endless wars and accumulate the experience of many lifetimes. This gives them an enormous advantage over their weaker, loyalist brothers. It also gives them a perspective unique among Khorne's champions, because they begin as mortals but taste immortality. They develop what vaguely resembles patience. Khorne may not have patience of his own, but he knows the value of it in these champions. He allows them to bide their time and hone their skills on the battlefields of demon worlds, waiting for opportunities to unleash them upon the Imperial weaklings who refuse to embrace Khorne's blessing. When these crusades are launched, the inhabitants of the galaxy are almost never prepared. There is no warning, no scouts or astropaths that are able to adequately pierce the veil that obscures the activities of these forsaken domains. Even if they could, the distortion of time and the vagaries of the warp would only make this knowledge useless. Reports of assaults being launched could easily be delayed by hundreds of standard years, reaching panicked ears after they have already been in the grave for generations. Thus the continuance of the Long War gives the Blood God an unmatched and incredibly useful capability. Sitting upon the throne of skulls, Khorne can see new worlds ready to burn, civilizations ripe for conquest, populations ready to be bled into his rivers, or war zones where fighting is abating. In his Chaos Champions, he has warriors ready to eagerly serve him and feed the flames of conflict. With hearts full of hate, they strike without warning to unleash devastations upon the enemies of Khorne. The galaxy is but a parched, sun-baked field to them, and they are the flamers, ready to ignite it all. All the Blood God has to do is pull the trigger and let the galaxy burn. While Khorne cares little from where the blood comes from, Tzeentch has long been associated with the struggle against the hated Imperium during the Long War. Some dare whisper that it was his schemes that led to the heresy itself, with his invisible tendrils guiding such small events as the discovery of the blade able to mortally wound even a Primarch, the rivalries that led to legions fighting legions, or the hubris that led the Primarchs to disobey their father. Such superstitions must remain merely that, for it is also possible that they are merely rumors designed to ensnare the weak-minded with further evidence of the powers of Tzeentch. It is clear, though, that the Changer of Ways has been an active force in the Long War for untold ages. It may be he who required the Emperor to be brought low, lest mankind perhaps escape his grasp, or that he cares not which faction emerges the victor, and views the endless conspiracies and plots as part of an amusing game. Such motivations would be far removed from rational thought, but the ways of Tzeentch are beyond mere sanity, and no mortal mind can possibly encompass even a fraction of his rolling will. Like the great ocean he was created from, Tzeentch is perhaps more of a force that must be respected and endured than controlled and harnessed. The impossible realm is littered with gibbering, drooling chaos spawn that have thought themselves ready to bind or comprehend the smallest shard of the Changer of Ways. In the end, all who serve the Chaos Gods must remember that Tzeentch is the father of lies and deceit. As such, some heretics may choose to accept the accounts they have read or experienced at face value. When it comes to Tzeentch, there is no true dogma. All is change, even what most would consider solid facts that establish reality. Anything xenospecies or human followers of the corpse god believe and perpetuate regarding the great conspirator may also be influenced by this distortion. For those who would follow the Changer of Ways, manipulating facts and affirming myths are but a small part of the great game. While the unfocused followers of Tzeentch waste their time in futile attempts to find new ways to breach the Imperial Palace, the patient Chaos Space Marines of Nurgle understand the timeless nature of existence within the warp. Many of the lessons and experiences that lesser mortals are unable to fully appreciate, let alone comprehend, are theirs to explore. Nurgle gives these warriors an eternity to ponder the grandeur of their master's plan for ultimate corruption. The many diseases they have within them are given time to evolve into ever more deadly forms. Perhaps best of all, it may also give them a long enough life to see rot claim the body of the soul of the false emperor. For these enlightened warriors, the Long War does not seem as long as it does to others. This is not to say that they do not harbor the same righteous hatred for their former brothers that all traitor legions share. While they know that they could simply wait for victory to come to them, they choose to follow the example of Nurgle himself and take a more active role in the downfall and renewal of the galaxy. Eternity offers them a way to revel in the joy of living and to gain satisfaction from the death they can bring to their enemies. There are thousands of worlds ripe for virus bombing, billions of souls waiting to be tormented by the plagues of spirits. The flesh and bones of entire Space Marine chapters are there to be harvested and used as experimental subjects for Nurgle's constant mutating catalog of diseases. It is the duty and the privilege of the veterans of the Long War to see to it that no opportunity to further the great cycle through acts of vengeance upon the Emperor's lapdogs pass by. The endgame of no other Chaos God can compare to the all-encompassing totality of the Plague Lord's grand design. As empires crumble, stars collapse upon themselves, and each and every pathetic Space Marine chapter fades from memory, Grandfather Nurgle and his chosen servants will have the last laugh. The galaxy will die, and from its death throes a new existence shall come into being, with Nurgle ruling as lord of it all. Not a single one of the Emperor's loyal offsprings shall persist to sully it at all. While Nurgle's followers wait for this victory, the Emperor's children and other Space Marines, whom the Dark Prince released from the shackles of Imperial dogma, have had thousands of standard years to revel in their freedom. Like all the warriors who fought the Emperor's tyranny, these Chaos Space Marines have a burning hatred for the Emperor, but unlike those others, they have found pleasure in the intensity of this hatred, and this has shown them the value of an existence in the borders between real space and the realm of chaos. There they are free to linger over an emotion, to savor the sensations of the passions they feel. They can expose themselves to the delightful torments, immerse themselves in debauched distractions, and experience with new and gratifying ways to pursue their desire for vengeance. Slaanesh teaches his followers, let Khorne be content with simply killing, or Tzeentch with black schemes. A warrior of Slaanesh has much more interesting things to do with his enemies than merely ending their lives. And with the timeless realms, he and his subjects can experience and experiment with them all. And those were 40 facts on the end goal for each Chaos God. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Facebook or Reddit. It really helps out the channel when you do so. It's interesting when you go through the lore of each individual Chaos God. Khorne and Tzeentch usually tend to be the most straightforward, and then Nurgle tends to be the most surprising. It seems that whenever I create a lore video, Nurgle's ideology always makes more sense to me than any of the other Chaos Gods. Well, I guess Khorne is very basic, but like Nurgle's idea of like never-ending decay, but having life through that is just very... it just makes sense to me. It seems very surprising coming from, you know, the mythology of Warhammer 40K. And then, of course, Slaanesh is always like a small little paragraph that GW decides to create for Slaanesh, just because when you talk about Slaanesh, it is kind of risky to talk about pleasure and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I always find that interesting. Out of all four, though, there is a reoccurring theme, and that is eternity. Khorne wants war forever, Tzeentch wants to plot forever, Nurgle wants to spread his decay forever, and Slaanesh wants pleasure forever. So time plays a big role in each one of their endgames. It seems like at the end of the day, all they want is more time. So when you're creating a Chaos Space Marine warband, or you're creating a Space Marine, or anything Chaos related, a cult or anything like that, if you're playing some type of role-playing game, keep in mind that the end game for each god will always be to buy more time, corrupt more things, so that they get more time, which is interesting. If you ever do fully corrupt a warband or a planet even in your lore, make it timeless, because that's really what they go for. Time to the Chaos Gods seems very it's uniform. That's what they seek. If you guys have any other suggestions for other topics of Warhammer 40k, comment down below. Let me know which one of the 4 Chaos Gods you favor the most. Like I said, Nurgle is always surprising to me, so I'm going to go with Nurgle. I like Tzeentch, but then reading the lore, I always get surprised by Nurgle's ideology. So that's why I'm going to choose Nurgle. Grandfather Nurgle for life. Never going to collect the models, though. I don't like small holes. So painting those models would be disgusting. But that's about it, guys. If you guys have any other suggestions, comment down below. Don't forget we have a Patreon. Link in the description. Simple $1 a month helps us create more videos. It's pretty basic. If you can't support us on Patreon, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing. Most importantly, sharing these videos. It helps out the channel. But with that said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Oh, I used to put my freedom first in